true north is over there. It's in the complete opposite direction. And here, even more so, down there. This is wild. So what is going on here?
Our planet is scattered with incredible structures that seem to defy logic. From the towering pyramids of Egypt to the intricate stonework of Puma Punku, these ancient wonders leave us scratching our heads.
It's composed of an estimated 2.3 million blocks of stones, weighing an estimated 6 million tons. And some of these stones individually are 50 to 80 tons each.
The workforce that was needed to lift these stones must have been massive.
The materials for these structures shouldn't even exist with our current understanding of engineering.
The Great Pyramid is a testament to ancient Egyptians' ingenuity, acumen, and technical and scientific prowess.
This isn't just about ancient ruins. We're talking about things that rewrite the story of humanity. The question begs to be answered. Who built these structures on Earth? Did a long-lost advanced race visit us?
Even the archaeologists agree that the celestial realm was built on Earth in order to show as above, so below.
Or is there a forgotten human civilization whose achievements have been buried for millennia?
Still do not know why they left their cities, because of a sudden they disappeared. And it was not a war, because you find no traces of a war, no traces of destruction. They left, we don't know why and where they have gone.
This video will look into the world's most mysterious and seemingly impossible constructions. We'll explore megaliths so massive they shouldn't even exist, and structures with architectural techniques that shouldn't have been possible for the civilizations that built them. Puma Punku. We can't make a list of ancient structures without mentioning the Puma Punku. The Puma Punku is a part of a complex of temples in the Andes Mountains of Bolivia. Historians say Puma Punku was constructed between 536 and 600 AD. On the other hand, many scientists contend that stone construction dates far earlier. What then makes these stones so unique? The largest stone weighs over 131 tons, making the rocks enormous. This is twice as big as the majority of earth-moving machinery in the world today. Nevertheless, 20 years ago, someone managed to get these stones to this location. No one knows how they transported them. Puma Punku is 12,800 feet above sea level. Someone had to work twice as hard to move the blocks because that is high up in the mountains. Puma Punku is above the naturally occurring tree line at this height. This indicates no trees in the region, and the rocks would not have been moved using wooden rollers. The type of engineering that went into forming the blocks is the most astounding secret.
And how sharp that is, and nobody knows what that's for or why that's that way.
The shapes and forms of the blocks are perfectly cut. Additionally, the stones have magnetic properties. Our predecessors weren't as uncivilized as we would like to believe. That's not all. Its design is T-shaped rather than square in plan. The Tiwanaku builders built exact ditches and filled them with stratified sedimentary stones to hold big stone blocks, or they fitted stones straight to bedrock to maintain the weight of these enormous constructions. Current engineers claim that a method known as layering and depositing was used to build Puma Punku's base. Sand from the inside and composite from the outside are alternately layered, overlapping at the joints and grading the contact points to provide a solid base. Several theories propose that the Puma Punku complex and the neighboring massive monuments, such as Akapana, Kalasasaya, Putuni, and Caracalla, served as Tiwanaku hubs for ritual and spiritual activities. Due to its breathtaking beauty, pilgrims travel from far and wide to this region, which some believe to be the core of the Andes. These constructions altered the nearby landscape. Puma Punku and Illimani Mountain were combined. Using hallucinogenic drugs could magnify the spiritual significance and sensation of awe into a mind-altering and life-changing experience. Analyses of hair samples reveal the presence of psychoactive substance residues in numerous mummies discovered in the northern Chilean Tiwanaku civilization, including infants as young as 1 year old, indicating the significance of these compounds to the Tiwanak people. However, no scientist has provided a likely explanation for the buildings and their construction. Hence, the Puma Punku mystery remains unsolved, despite the opinions of skeptics. Another ancient structure that questions our understanding on ancient civilization is the Baalbek. Baalbek is a city in Lebanon's Bekaa Valley that lies east of the Litani River, roughly 67 kilometers 42 miles, northeast of Beirut. It serves as the governorate of Baalbek Hermel's capital. 82,608 people lived in Baalbek in 1998. Most were Shia Muslims, followed by Sunni Muslims and Christians. The town is well known for its historical landmarks and tourist destinations, including several antique Roman temples, an Umayyad Great Mosque, and the Roman quarry site, Hajar al-Hibla. The history of Baalbek goes back at least 11,000 years, covering essential periods such as the prehistoric, Canaanite, Hellenistic, and Roman periods. The city was Heliopolis after Alexander the Great captured it in 334 BCE. Under Roman administration, the city prospered. Nevertheless, it changed during the era of Christianization and the emergence of Islam after the Arab conquest in the 7th century. Later on, the city experienced a string of earthquakes and was besieged by the Mongols. As a result, its significance declined during the Ottoman and contemporary eras. The city is well known for the remnants of the Roman Baalbek temple complex, which included the Temple of Bacchus and the Temple of Jupiter, two of the most significant and impressive Roman temples. It was added to the UNESCO World Heritage List in 1984. Keep watching. The story is just getting interesting. The Nan Madol. The abandoned megalithic metropolis of Nan Madol is a fantastic example of art and architecture that challenges our preconceptions of what was considered feasible in the past. Situated on a lagoon near Pohnpei's coastline, Nan Madol spans approximately 150 acres and comprises over 100 artificial islets. More than 1,000 individuals may live in the city with ease. According to historians, Nan Madol served as the chief of the Saudilur dynasty's ceremonial and political hub. The fact that Nan Madol's builders used only the weight and placement of each stone column rather than mortar to anchor the buildings further complicates the city. Narratives from the city's oral history describe enormous birds repositioning the basalt columns. Although we cannot precisely identify the city's engineering and design, we do know that a solid economic and ecological system was required to enable such an endeavor. Presently, Nan Madol encompasses an archaeological region spanning about 18 square kilometers, comprising the stone structures constructed on a coral reef flat near Temwen Island's beach, other artificial islets, and the nearby main island of Pohnpei. Enclosed by stone walls, the site core spans an area of about 1.5 by 0.5 kilometers, with 92 artificial platforms made of stone and coral fill, bordered by tidal canals. Using carbon dating, it may be determined that massive basalt stones from a volcanic plug on the other side of Pohnpei were removed around AD 1180, marking the start of megalithic construction at Nan Madol. Although radiocarbon dating indicates human activity began around AD 8200, the oldest habitation in Pohnpei was most likely around AD 1. The Nan Madol remains were designated as a National Historical Landmark in 1985. Artifacts from the site were on exhibit at Lidorkini Museum until it closed in 2012. But that's not all. The Borobudur Temple mystery also surrounds this ancient structure, the temple at Borobudur. The world's largest Buddhist temple still raises several serious concerns about how it was built. According to historians, the Shailendra dynasty constructed it in the 8th century. Because of its enormous dimensions and intricate artwork, historians believe the structure would have taken a century to complete. Archaeologists, however, contend that the original plan for the building consisted of a single, enormous stupa surrounded by 5 balustrades. Later, out of concern that it would collapse, the builders changed the design to include 3 levels encircling one main stupa. Given how much the temple's shape resembles a mandala, there are theories that Indian Buddhists built the Borobudur. The temple has more than 504 statues. Every one of the 72 stupas that encircle the central dome has a statue inside of it. Inside the central stupa, is an equally intriguing, incomplete Buddha sculpture. There are numerous hypotheses about the origins of this enormous, magnificent statue. According to what is known, Borobudur was built in the 8th century and abandoned after Java's Hindu kingdoms declined in the 14th century when the Javanese people converted to Islam. After receiving information about its location from native Indonesians, Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles, the British governor of Java at the time, ignited global awareness of its presence in 1814. Since then, Borobudur has undergone numerous renovations to maintain it. The Indonesian government and UNESCO finished the most significant restoration project in 1983, and the site was then inducted into the UNESCO World Heritage List. Along with Angkor Wat in Cambodia and Bagan in Myanmar, Borobudur is the biggest Buddhist temple in the world. It is considered one of Southeast Asia's major archaeological monuments. Borobudur is still a well-liked pilgrimage site. Indonesian Buddhists visit the monument on Vesak Day. Borobudur is the most famous landmark among tourists visiting Indonesia. Dolmens of North Caucasus. The Caucasian dolmens, constructed from massive stone blocks that are finely prepared, are an exceptional example of prehistoric construction. For instance, the stones were curled to form a circle or sculpted into 90-degree angles to be utilized as corners. These constructions are comparable in age and architectural quality to the great megaliths of Eurasia, despite being mostly unknown throughout the rest of the continent. However, their origin is still unknown. While Caucasian monuments are diverse, they share many characteristics with megaliths from around Eurasia, including those found in the Iberian Peninsula, Italy, France, Great Britain, Ireland, the Netherlands, Germany, Denmark, Sweden, Iran, and India. Many theories have been proposed to explain these commonalities and the overall construction of megaliths, but the answer is still elusive. In the Western Caucasus, there are thought to be about 3,000 of these megalithic sites. However, more are continually being discovered, and some are being demolished. Many are in terrible condition now, and will disappear entirely if not shielded from vandals and general neglect. The North Caucasus dolmens include a vanished metropolis near the Black Sea coast. It's possible that the dolmens were jewelry or metal vaults looted in the first millennium BC by the invading Scythians. The architecture of the dolmens is not very varied. The floor layouts are round, rectangular, trapezoidal, and square. A gateway in the facade's center punctures each of the dolmens. Although they are less common, square portholes can also be seen. A court that spreads out in front of the facade creates a space where rituals may have been performed. The court is typically surrounded by substantial stone walls that can reach heights of more than 1 meter. These sites have been dated partly by the discovery of Bronze and Iron Age ceramics, human remains, bronze tools, and decorations made of silver, gold, and semi-precious stones in this region. Once prized for their spiritual importance, the dolmens are gaining more value. Stay tuned. The best part of the video is around the corner. Longyu Caves in Xianbei-kun, Zhejiang, China, folklore, around artificial caverns dates back as far as anyone could remember. That is, until one man decided to test the myth. After organizing the neighborhood, they bought a massive hydraulic pump to empty the town's pond. They were shocked to discover hand-dug caverns at the pond's bottom after 17 days of pumping. After remaining concealed for millennia, archaeologists have found 35 similar caverns. These nearly 30-meter-deep siltstone caverns are cut out of the rock. With the advancement of archaeological study and investigation tools, we can still not fully understand the building of these caverns. It would require 1,000 expert artisans working non-stop for several years at a rate equivalent to what an average human would dig using the tools of the day to finish such a project. How they moved the debris from the caves and where they threw it are even more enigmatic. The 1 million cubic meters of stone from the caves have vanished completely. The caverns are noteworthy for several reasons. Considering that they are artificial, they are huge. Each cave has an average floor area of over 1,000 square meters, with ceiling heights of up to 30 meters, and a covered surface of over 30,000 square meters. The surfaces of the pillars, walls, and ceiling are all finished in the same way. They are composed of a sequence of parallel bands or courses that are roughly 60 centimeters broad and have parallel chiseling markings placed at an angle of approximately 60 degrees to the course axis. They do not connect and have retained their structural integrity. It is unclear when the caverns were formed. Nevertheless, they were referenced in a poem by Yu Xun in the 17th century, and clay from pots dating between 206 BC and 23 AD was discovered in silt inside the caves. Teotihuacan. The Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon, two of the most essential Mesoamerican pyramids constructed during pre-Columbian times, were erected in Teotihuacan. Teotihuacan is located near Mexico City. However, it is centuries ahead of the Mexica Empire and was not an Aztec or Mexica City. At the height of its prosperity, between the years 1 and 500 CE, Teotihuacan had a population estimated at 125,000 or more, making it the most significant metropolis in the Americas and, at the very least, the sixth largest city in the world at the time. Teotihuacan was home to 80–90% of the valley's population, and the town occupied 8 square miles. In addition to the pyramids, Teotihuacan is important from an anthropological perspective because of its well-preserved paintings, intricate residential compounds with multiple families, and the Avenue of the Dead. Intricate residential compounds with multiple families, and the Avenue of the Dead. Furthermore, Mesoamerica was the exporter of exquisite obsidian tools from Teotihuacan. The city is estimated to have been founded in 100 BCE, and up until roughly 250 CE, significant monuments were constantly being built. The city's main monuments were pillaged and methodically destroyed around 550 CE. However, it may have survived until the 7th or 8th century CE. The harsh weather events in 535–536 may have contributed to its demise. That's not all. In the 1st century CE, Teotihuacan was founded as a sacred center in the Mexican highlands. The pre-Columbian America's most extensive and most populous center grew to be there. Teotihuacan had apartment complexes with multiple floors constructed to house the dense population. The entire civilization and cultural complex connected to the location is called Teotihuacan, or Teotihuacan. While whether Teotihuacan was the epicenter of a state empire remains unresolved, its impact on Mesoamerica is widely acknowledged. After seeing these impressive ruins, the later Aztecs modified and assimilated elements of Teotihuacan culture, asserting a shared lineage with them. There is disagreement over the racial makeup of Teotihuacan's residents. The Nahua, Otomi, or Totonac ethnic groups are potential contenders. Because elements of Otopamian and Maya culture have been found, several researchers have proposed that Teotihuacan was multi-ethnic. The monument was named a UNESCO World Heritage Monument in 1987 and has a total surface area of 83 square kilometers. With 4,185,017 visits in 2017, it is Mexico's most famous archaeological site, the Walls of Sacsayhuaman. A wealth of historical knowledge may be found in the Incas. Among the many Inca ruins in Cusco, one is particularly noteworthy for several reasons. Nestled in the city's northern fringes, Sacsayhuaman is still one of the most breathtaking ruins in the world. This historic Inca capital was constructed like a fortress by the Incas. Still, hardly much of the complex is standing today. Most of what's left is a fantastic wall that still baffles modern scientists and historians. Like most Inca constructions, the walls consist of massive, hefty rock stones that interlock like jigsaw pieces. Despite their asymmetrical shapes, the stones are so closely spaced apart that a needle cannot pass through them. The walls reach more than 6 meters, with the longest measuring 400 meters. The walls are so unique that when the Spaniards seized control of Cusco, they started demolishing them because they thought only demons could have constructed such a structure. Nevertheless, most stones were too massive for the Spanish to lift. How the Incas shaped and piled these boulders into such an exact fit is still a mystery. The story keeps getting interesting. Sacsayhuaman's enormous plaza and 3 imposing terrace walls are its most well-known areas. These terraces are made of some of the most considerable stones ever used in a pre-Hispanic American edifice. They exhibit cutting and fitting perfection unequaled in the Americas. Many of the rocks are so close together that fitting a single sheet of paper between them is impossible. It is believed that this accuracy, along with the stone's rounded corners, variety of interlocking designs, and inward-leaning walls, allowed the remains to withstand terrible earthquakes in Cusco. The Spanish used Sacsayhuaman as a supply of stones for building Spanish Cusco after the siege of Cusco. In a matter of years, they had disassembled and destroyed most of the complex. Block by block, the site was demolished to recover materials for constructing the colonial city's new Spanish governmental and ecclesiastical structures and the wealthiest Spaniards' homes. Only the stones too big to be moved easily are still there now. On March 13, 2008, archaeologists found more ruins around Sacsayhuaman's perimeter. It has been hypothesized that the location was first inhabited before the Incas, during the Quilque period. Although ceremonial, its precise purpose is unknown. Parts of the site sustained damage in January 2010 during intense rains in the area. Inti Raymi, the yearly Inca celebration of the winter solstice and New Year, is still observed by Peruvians. On June 24th, it is held close to Sacsayhuaman. Huarachicuy is another significant festival that occurs yearly on the third Sunday in September. Some Cusco residents use a huge field inside the complex's walls for jogging, tai chi, and other sports. The Moray Terraces of the Incas Moray, located roughly 50 kilometers northwest of Cusco, Peru, is the site of one of the most enigmatic and breathtaking Inca ruins. The ancient amphitheater-like ruins consist of concentric terraces encircling the pit. The enormous terraces are in the middle and go down to a circular bottom after about 150 meters. The fact that the bottom of this structure drains so beautifully that rainwater cannot gather there is one of its most fascinating features. This guarantees that even the most copious rainfall won't flood the Moray terraces. Another noteworthy aspect of the ancient construction is the significant temperature differential between its upper and lower regions, reaching up to 15 degrees C. The temperature differential created several microclimates on the terraces, indicating that agriculturalists initially employed the moray to research how various climate conditions affected crops. The purpose of the moray terraces may never be known, although agricultural research is possible. The ruins of Moray suffered irrevocable destruction due to unusually high precipitation levels that the Department of Cusco experienced during the 2009-2010 rainy season. The complex's tiered tiers, made of compacted earth and stone, sustained significant damage due to the ground beneath the structure being undermined by severe rainfall. In February 2010, the primary circle's eastern edge collapsed, raising questions about the site's long-term viability as one of Peru's leading tourist destinations. Before restoration work could start, a makeshift wooden support structure was built to stop more collapse. The Petra Treasury historians and archaeologists believe that the treasury at Petra was built in the 1st century BC. Since the building's design is unique to the area, we can only surmise that Hellenistic architects from the Near East created it. The goal of the treasury has not yet been determined by historians or scientists. The treasury gained its present name from a widely held Bedouin notion that the enormous stone urn, or tholos, inside the building served as a haven for old pirate treasures. The Bedouins fired at the treasure frequently in an attempt to free it. The urn's walls still have bullet holes in them. The elegance and magnificence of this historic building are unmatched by many modern constructions. The building has a very straightforward design. There is a single, spacious chamber in the middle, and 2 other, smaller ones on either side of the porch. The treasure is perched atop a precipice. There are a number of little rooms and tombs beneath the historic building. We don't know who built it or why, but they most definitely meant to leave a lasting impression. Lalibella's churches. Despite extreme poverty and instability, religion has maintained a stronghold in Ethiopia since 330 AD, as evidenced by the 11 ancient rock-hewn churches of Lalibela. The structures are monolithic and reach depths of 40 to 50 feet below the surface of the earth, with cross-shaped openings functioning as windows, ventilation systems, and even rainwater drainage. Many theories try to explain how these amazing churches came to be. The most widely accepted theory holds that King Lalibela, the Ethiopian emperor from the 12th century, provided the orders for the construction of these halls of worship. This notion is promoted by the tiny museum at the church's entrance, although the only evidence for it is a flimsy, axe-shaped adze. The instrument appears more appropriate for farming than for carving hard rock, even in the absence of 9 centuries of use. This theory is given a more divine twist by the worshippers who use the underground churches in the community. They think that with an army of angels, King Lalibela could finish building the 11 churches in a single night. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. See you in our next video.